delivery.
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is a game that lives up to its name. RGG Studio has created its most ambitious and confident entry in the franchise yet, all while wrapping up the 20-year legacy of Kazuma Kiryu and handing the series off to the new generation headed by Ichiban Kasuga. This is done alongside bringing in some of the most elaborate side content available in the series to date. Following the events of Yakuza Like a Dragon, Kasuga has put the hero's life behind him to help former Yakuza members integrate back into society, following the dissolution of the major Yakuza clans years prior. Eventually, a chain of events causes him and his former party members to wrongfully lose their jobs, and thus he dons the red suit, gathers the party, and equips his bat once again. This leads him to run into his former captain, Sawashiro, who informs him that not only is his mother, Akane, alive and well in Hawaii, but that she finally wants to meet her son after 40 odd years. Shortly after touching down, he's almost robbed, drugged, and ends up bare-arsed on Aloha Beach before meeting up with the legendary Yakuza, Kazuma Kiryu. Eventually, he learns that Akane is not only missing, but is being hunted by Honolulu's most underworld factions. And, in a devastating turn of events, Kiryu reveals he's been battling a cancer diagnosis. Despite this, Kasuga is as unfazed as ever and recruits Kiryu, Tomizawa, the guy who tried to rob him, and Shitose, the girl who drugged him and left him naked on the beach, to find his long-lost mother. Going into Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I was fearful that Kiryu's return would overshadow Kasuga, someone I managed to grow more fond of in his debut game, Yakuza Like a Dragon, than I had of Kiryu across his 7 titles. However, as it turns out, I needn't have worried, as RGG strikes the balance between the two protagonists perfectly. For the first half of the game, this is Kasuga's story through and through, with Kiryu coming along for the ride. The plot splits off into 2 for the latter half. Kiryu heads back to Japan while Kasuga finishes the mission in Hawaii, and the game employs the back and forth chapters found in Yakuza 0, giving Kiryu his own arc and party. Ichiban Kasuga continues to be my favourite protagonist the series has had to offer, and that's only strengthened with his latest entry. He's the ultimate himbo, and despite every hardship thrown his way, his infectious enthusiasm radiates to the other characters and even to me as a player. I was already happy for him taking the reins of the series going forward, and his ability to be the core of the game's most emotional and hilarious moments over the course of the adventure made my appreciation for him even stronger. Despite having 20 years of baggage to contend with and sharing the spotlight with Kasuga, Infinite Wealth is a fantastic farewell to Kiryu, and arguably does a better job than his previous send-off in Yakuza 6. While it's undoubtedly tough to watch someone who is basically a superhuman face the end, Infinite Wealth doesn't revel in misery, thanks in part to Kiryu's bucket list side quests, which are both a great burst of nostalgia for longtime fans and a wonderful celebration of the character. Although the balance between the two is generally solid throughout the game, my only gripe is that the final act of the game made Kasuga take the back seat a bit. Even if it's probably the right move from a plot standpoint, it would have been nice to see him more involved. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth had the potential to spiral into a muddled mess, balancing 2 protagonists and a Pacific spinning story, but RGG Studio has pulled it off, and to me it sits among the best the series has to offer, alongside Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. RGG Studio has made significant changes to the gameplay to make Like a Dragon's RPG stylings take on its own personality, in comparison to the Dragon Quest homage that was Yakuza Like a Dragon. It can be hard for games to make turn-based combat feel exciting, but Infinite Wealth excels. The most integral new addition is the ability to move your characters around to choose your attacking angle. While this is good for moves which deal AoE damage or attack in a straight line, the real highlight of this comes to light once you get the full team involved. You're able to change something as simple as bashing one enemy into a teammate for a follow-up, which can in turn end up dealing massive damage to the entire team of enemies. Plus, RGG manages to sprinkle in the dynamic combat moments that made the brawler entry so engaging, such as the classic cinematic fight intros and mid-fight cutscenes. And while it feels like RGG Studio is more confident with the combat compared to Yakuza Like a Dragon, it also doesn't shy away from the ridiculousness of the fantasy RPGs that inspired it. The intense one-on-one brawls where two men slug it out until they can barely stand is still a series highlight. This time around though, RGG got far more weird with it, with some bosses, such as the giant shark, feeling ripped out of a classic RPG. But that's part of the charm. Only in Like a Dragon is one man with a knife more intimidating than an actual sea monster. While the series excels at side content, Infinite Wealth takes it to another level, with usual suspects like Karaoke, which has some of all the new bangers like the fantastic Summertime Groove, Batting Cages and the Drink Links all making a return. But the main event has to be Happy Resort Dondoko Island, which is a far more elaborate version of the business management sims found in previous games, now with a full-blown Animal Crossing homage mixed in. Even as someone who doesn't vibe with the life sim genre, Like a Dragon's take on it was a hit for me. I got super invested in building up my island resort and battling the evil pollution pirates who seek to fill it with trash. At one point, I actually had to stop myself tending to my island because I completely sidelined the main story. And that's not the only Nintendo homage, with Sujimon Battles offering up an RGG Pokemon parody. The mode sees Kasuga form a party of 6 Sujimon. This is the name given to all of the enemies he runs into during his adventure, who he can then bribe to join his team to take on the discrete 4. I don't really care for the Pokemon formula typically, but as I soon learned with Dondoko Island, it's the bizarre Like a Dragon tone which is apparently the missing ingredient needed to get me hooked. The mode is surprisingly deep, with a full storyline based around your adventure to become the best Sujimon trainer around. It's one I'm excited to get back into in Premium Adventure. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has a lot to live up to. It's the first game in the series to step foot out of Japan. It has the unenviable task of wrapping up a 20-year storyline while pushing a brand new one forward, and it has 2 protagonists to contend with. And yet, RGG Studio has nailed all of that, while simultaneously improving on the gameplay tenfold and introducing some of the series' most in-depth content to date. If this is the last time we ever see Kazuma Kiryu, it's a more than worthy send-off for the Dragon of Dojima. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth gets the full 5 stars out of 5 from Mirror Gaming. And that's it for our Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth review. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like on this video, and if you have any thoughts, please let us know in the comments below. And make sure to get subscribed for the latest game reviews, previews and more we've got coming up. See you in the next one.